Good morning and welcome back to my studio. I've opened the window again so you can peek in and see what I'm up to today. As I wrote in the little blurb that goes with this video, it is practically monsooning here in Florida. The last 2 days it has just dumped rain. So I'm really glad this is a virtual window, otherwise I'd be getting wet. And so would my artwork. But yeah, so again, the window in my studio is open today. We're going to hang out for a little while and I'm going to share some progress with you. Today I'm working on a batch of wearable art face masks for my Jewels of the Pandemic wearable art face mask collection. And so I'm doing a bunch of stitching, and because these are such small little pieces that I think I'll be able to get the iPad close enough to the machine where I can angle it so you can actually see the stitching and process it rather than across the room and watching me sew. So you can kind of see me work it through the machine and whatnot as each little piece goes through. Ordinarily, my larger art pieces, it's hard to do that because with all of the maneuvering as I roll and I twist and I move them around under the machine, I can't get the iPad close enough to film it that way. So, and I'm not going to wear it like on my head like a miner's light or anything. That seems just weird. So today we're just going to do a little bit of stitching, and I'll talk a little bit about sort of the process of doing it. I might talk about rain too. I don't know. I'm kind of over the rain already, but Florida was in a drought, so it's helpful. But the other thing, before we get into the stitching, I do want to share that I'm going to adjust the schedule to these windows into my studio shows a little bit. Originally I was trying to do these 3 times a week. That didn't work real well with my schedule. So I dropped it to 2 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays around 10 a.m. Eastern, give or take a few minutes. And that's been great for a while. However, I'm feeling very called to drop it further down to just 1 episode a week. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is my intuition is telling me to do it. And I tend to pay as close attention as possible to my intuition because it's usually always spot on. I've been pondering this for a few days, so I've confirmed it's not like a fear of coming up and showing up live here on Facebook. Who cares? I show up live here on Facebook. It's not real scary. But it's more to do with, I feel like when I come on twice a week, I don't have quite as much new things to show you. And I'd rather be able to come on once a week and have it be a much more valuable experience where I'm showing you more new stuff, or I'm showing you better progress or whatnot. So I can kind of share something that's a little bit more interesting and informative and possibly engaging and maybe entertaining if I go once a week. So I'm going to, starting next week, the week of July, and I should look at this, the week of July 27th, we're going to go down to 1 episode a week on Thursday mornings, Eastern mornings, probably, and I'm actually going to push the start time back as well to 10:30 Eastern. So 7:30 Pacific, 8:30 Mountain, 9:30 Central, and 10:30 Eastern. And then I'm not going to do the math for overseas, but I know like if you're in Great Britain, it's 5 hours later, and France is 6, and so on and so forth. So, like I said, I'm just sharing that with all of you that I'm going to reduce this to once a week. You may have noticed it was twice a week. You may not have, but I just wanted to share. I like to be fully transparent about what I'm going to do with all this. So that's going to happen. And then I'm going to open with this and I close with this. As always, if you want to be the first to see any of my new work as it's revealed, join my email list because that's where it always goes live first. And you can do that by dropping your best email address in the comments below, or send me a DM if you'd rather not share it publicly. And then, as always as well, you get to see all of my work. You can visit my website, and I'll drop that link in the comments when I'm done here today. And I post this to my page. So that's where we stand for today, and let's get stitching. I'm going to try and angle this camera, so bear with me a little bit as I adjust it to where I can see that it can see the needle and the little bit of face mask that's underneath the needle, so you can get a good view of it. All right, so we're going to shift you a little bit and angle you down. Get my hand out of the way. Hold on, gotta move some stuff out of the way there. It's not perfect, but it's better. So I can't quite angle it to. Hold on. I want to test something. I want to see if I go back behind. Sorry, I have other pieces that I'm going to be stitching, so I've got them positioned. That might work. I don't know. It's still not exactly pointed straight down, but it's close enough, isn't it? So, all right, so I am, all of these little pieces and face masks have different little bits of color on them. And in terms of efficiency, I'm working on all of the green bits that are on the assorted pieces. And not every piece has green on it, because it doesn't always go in contrast, but I'm trying to get something that's sort of a contrasting color to give it some pop. And in this instance, hold on, the thread didn't anchor all the way down, so I want to get it out of the way. I want to stitch over it. I'll cut that off. Anyway, so I'm trying to choose. I tried to choose colors that sort of that don't really clash, but that contrast to give these some visual energy. And green against the pink and the sort of orangey yellow and the blue really does do that in this for this, especially against this pink. So I'm just stitching here, and I think you can sort of see the process. And I do this. I call this. I probably really ought to call this outline stitching, but I call this bubble stitching just because it's fun and it reminds me of my childhood. This thing is ornery sometimes, in terms of where it backs up. Anyway, the reason I call this bubble stitching is I don't know if you ever, like when you were a kid maybe, and you'd sign somebody's name to, or you'd write somebody's name maybe in cursive in handwriting to an envelope or your own piece of paper, your own name on your schoolwork or whatnot, and then you'd go around the outside of the letters and kind of make this sort of bubble outline. Can't see you on camera, no, like this bubble outline around the letters, and do this 2 or 3 times to really kind of make them kind of look like bubble letters. And that's what I feel like I do when I do my stitching, because I'm just going around and around and around, following the outline of the shape and stitching. So again, about roughly 1/8 of an inch apart between lines. I'm having to go a little bit slower on these because again, they're smaller pieces. But as I get to the point where I want to turn, sometimes this machine, these really high-tech machines are really kind of funny sometimes. They're very sensitive, but it will occasionally keep stitching even though I've removed my foot from the pedal, which I found frustrating. I asked about it when I first got the machine, why did it do that? And they couldn't give me an explanation. They said, oh, just take your foot off the pedal. I'm like, foot's not on it. So anyway, so I tend to slow. And then this was a little narrow strip. So I'll leave you guys positioned there on the back side of the machine to sort of see what I'm doing for a little bit, and then I will shift you around to the side again. I could put you at the front right underneath me. I would, but I don't know. We'll give that a try too. We're going to try different angles today to see how we're doing. But let's finish up this little bit here, and then we will move the camera because that will give me a good reason to pause. My goal is to try to finish these, all 5 of this batch of masks by this weekend so that I can put them up on my Etsy shop and make them available for sale. By the way, have I told you all that? I have an Etsy shop. It's called Hilary Clark Studios over on Etsy, all one word. And I've got the original face mask, the wearable art face mask is already posted, as are all of the pieces in my textured fiber painting feelings series. So they're all available for purchase, and that's where I want to stop. And I'm slowly but surely working to get the rest of my art shared up on Etsy as well. So that will all happen eventually. Let me snip that thread, which is now going where I don't want it to go. That one's done. And I also need to change the thread because it's a slightly different shade of green on some of the other ones. So I'm going to pull that off. That wrapped up around. this other one up here. I know you can't see me threading, you can't see me really threading the machine, but that's what I'm doing at the moment, is I'm threading the machine with the next color, the next shade of green. This thing's got this cool little device where it threads the needle for me, which is so cool. I love it. So now I'm threaded again. I'm going to shift you back more over here so that you can kind of just change the angle and see stitching from that direction. Kind of position you there. Doing another strip of green. And I know my hand's going to be kind of in the way because of how I got to hold this, but we shall see. My foot is not on the needle, or the foot. My foot is not on the foot pedal, and it kept stitching on it. I don't know if you saw that. Anyway, go around the outside edge of each bit. I'll try to hold my hand back this way. So I'm stitching there along the edge of the yellow piece that's on it. And I'm turning. Follow where I'm going. And the trick here is to not force the fabric through the machine. You want it to, there's what they call feed dogs underneath this bit of fabric, underneath here, and the feed dogs help to feed the fabric through the machine. Going slow here on this curve, and because I'm talking. But you don't really want to push it. You just want to kind of hold it and anchor it. You hold it in place. But pushing it will basically mess up your stitching. It can lead to crumpled bits of fabric. And you just don't want that. So, again, I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way here. It's easier to do that when I had the camera positioned behind the machine, but I don't think you can see as well that way. I'm going to stop before I get there. That's going to get covered up with a seam anyway. And then turn, just around and around and around we go. Kind of like a merry-go-round. Merry-go-rounds of stitching. But this is the same process that I use when I make my textured fiber paintings, my larger pieces. Just with this stitching. And the reason I call them textured fiber paintings is because I put so much machine stitching into them, it creates all this texture, and in essence paints around the piece. So it kind of creates this painting thing. And also it's from a distance, my pieces are, people have told me that they think they're paintings until they get up close to them, and then they discover that they're all fiber. So, I mean, ultimately what this is it's a form, it is an art quilt, but because of the way I do them, I call them something a little bit different, just for interest and to add a little intrigue, I suppose, but also because it describes my process pretty well. So I don't know how exciting it is to watch me sew, but yep, that didn't go. Got to slow down on that section again because it wanted to try and go further than I want it to go. And with all the turns, you gotta slow down a little bit. There's a long stretch. Yay, here we go. Like speedy racer. But by stitching this closely, I don't really overlap the lines of stitching, but by stitching this closely together, or rather the lines so close together, it, like I said, it adds this texture to it that really makes it dense. And then it helps them, for the pieces that hang from a wall, it helps them to maintain some sort of like stiffness. So it makes it a little easier for them to hang because they are so densely stitched. But these masks, once they get lined with the felt, they're not going to be so stiff you can't wear them. They're still going to be, again, the felt really makes them comfortable on your face. But then your exterior thing is this, again, is wearable art. So it's really something that's kind of pretty and intriguing for you to share when you're out in public, because the mask is what you're showing to the world now. You're not showing your face anymore. it's, for as long as this thing continues, this virus, this pandemic, the mask is what you show the world. So why not make it something gorgeous, spend a little bit more money on it, because again, these are not $25 masks. They'll be listed at $150 each. But they're wearable, they're washable. Oh, I hear thunder. Wearable, washable on hand wash or delicate cycle, hang to dry, and can be reused again and again. I would suggest you only wear it once, one outing, one batch of errands, just because I think any mask, even if you wore a paper one, I wouldn't wear it more than one time at a shot before you wash it. So, but as wearable art, you can show up, when you go to the grocery, you can, why not look gorgeous? Why not be, you can skip the makeup because you're wearing a mask, right? Nobody needs to see that. So dress your face up with a wearable art face mask instead. Spend a little bit more money. You don't need to spend a ton of money on a new purse right now because, well, I guess you could, but most of us aren't leaving the houses all that often. What we do is to go run errands, so why not, again, like I said, sort of dress yourself up and make that worth your while. So be interesting. Elicit some comments from the people you see in the stores, because I can promise you somebody will comment. I'm like, oh my God, where'd you get that? It's gorgeous. Because they are. They're little jewels. That's why I'm calling them jewels. Before I finish this bit, we're almost 30 minutes already. I'm going to get through this I'm going to get up to the other end of this thing here. And then I'm going to position the camera a little bit. I'm going to try and slide you over to where you sit in front of me. Again, trying to keep my fingers out of the way. I can't tell what you can see. That will not work well. Maybe. That's going to possibly make it hard for me to sew. But anyway, that's as close as I can get you with an iPad to what I'm doing here. So you can see how the stitching's going. I'm slowing down dramatically because my iPad is now a little bit in the way of where I want to be. It's causing me to have to shift my hand. As you can see, I'm just sort of following the curve of the shape and stitching my way around it. Almost done with this bit of green. Yeah. If you don't mind me sort of, just like put my hand totally in the way, I apologize for that. If you don't mind me sort of referencing Bob Ross here, consider these, again, at $150, these aren't your throwaway face masks here, but they're happy little face masks. I'm channeling Bob Ross in that. So anyway, all right. So another one is completed in terms of the green stitching. I never know how close to get, so I'm going to back you up a little bit. It's just hard to do with this camera. Anyway, you can see the blue is already done, and then the green is now stitched. It's hard to show it. There we go. Easier. So that batch of green is stitched. So that one is ready. Throw it over there. And I've got another bit of green to do, but I will take us off camera, and I'll go back to... I'll release you guys so you can go do whatever else you want to do today. Because we've been on the air here for roughly 25-30 minutes. And that's enough for one day, right? So, again, before I close... I just want to mention again that I am changing the schedule for my Window into the Studio Facebook Live series, show, whatever we're calling them, episodes. Starting next week, July 27th, the week of July 27th, these will air on Thursdays about 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and they'll still run about 20 to 30 minutes most days. So, but just once a week, and hopefully I'll have more to share and more to show. So that I'm hoping that's exciting for everybody. The other thing is, again, as always, if you want to be the first to see any of my new work, get on my email list, because those are the folks who get to see it first. And you can do that by dropping a comment below with your email saying, yes, add me, or send me a DM. If you don't want to share it publicly, I totally get that. I would DM people myself. And then, as always, if you want to see all of my new work, or all of my work rather, all of my completed work, visit my website. I'm going to drop a comment for that location down below. I'm going to drop it in the comments down below once I post this thing. So, thank you so much for watching today and spending a little bit of time with me as I'm peeking through the window into my studio. I enjoy doing these, and I enjoy having you here. Have a great, wonderful day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Peace and love. Bye-bye.